Oh, God. That was just my mom. Anyways, grab a blanket, turn off your lights for 3 true scary refrigerator ghost stories. The Refrigerator Ghost. I used to live in an old 1970s house that was built on an old Air Force base. I've had encounters before, but not like the one that I'm about to tell you. It was around 1 a.m., and I was still up watching TV when I heard a faint noise. Thinking it was the fridge, I shrugged it off and went back to watching TV. 5 minutes after the first noise, I heard another voice this time, and it was louder and sounded like some type of metal being scraped across the floor. That's not a fridge noise, I said to myself. I sat there on the couch, unable to move because of how terrified I was, waiting for whatever it was to make the next move. Suddenly it got really cold and uneasy in the house, but I still couldn't move. Then something told me to turn around and look at the fridge, which I did, and right when I turned around, a black pool surrounded the fridge and formed into a black mass, or what you would call shadow person, with no facial features whatsoever. It stood there for about 10 seconds and melted in the floor. The cold feeling went away, but the uneasy feeling stayed, like something was still there with me. This happened to me before, but in different areas of my house, but the same shadow doing the same thing. Cold warning. I'm going to start by saying that I've always believed in the paranormal, but this happened in my home one day after I got out of the shower. I was walking past my kitchen, and at first, I felt a cold breeze. Thinking I left the window open, I looked around, but they were all closed. Then, I started to get this feeling that I wasn't alone, that I was being watched. I walked into my bedroom that's across from the kitchen, and that's when I saw a full-figure apparition of a man next to my refrigerator. He was tall, he was thin, I could see all the details of his clothes and face, but yet I could see right through him. It scared me so bad I screamed and shut my door. My heart was racing and my hands started to sweat. After 10 minutes, I come out of my room and checked out my kitchen, but nothing. My refrigerator was a small one back then, and I had it on top of 2 wooden crates. The next day, I saw the man again from the corner of my eye. All my hair stood on end, and I ran and shut my door. I can feel that he is trying to tell me something, and I can feel that I'm not scared of him, but just the fact I know he's a ghost. 1 minute later, I heard a crash. I took a deep breath and swallowed my fear. I opened my door, and to my surprise, the crates gave way and the refrigerator fell. To this day, I think it was a warning so I would not get hurt. Haunted house, complete with haunted refrigerator. I've had many paranormal experiences since I moved into this house, but the strangest is my haunted double-door refrigerator. It reacts to emotions with agony, empathy, anger, sadness, etc. Moans. A psychic came to investigate the paranormal occurrences in this house and recorded the sounds. When played at a slower speed, the words murdered, killed could be heard clearly. Anyone with the heart to take it is welcome to it. It works fine, with the exception of the unnerving moaning and groaning. One could say it was a failing motor, except that one day I turned around and told it to shut the fuck up. Immediately it raised the volume and sounds changed to unbearably loud, angry mumbling. It seemed to be attempting to articulate and sounded like something from a horror movie. I abruptly left the premises and returned only after my friend agreed to spend the night. I could not convince him to spend another. I only heard that angry mumbling twice since I've had it, but that was quite enough for me. I have no doubt, and neither does anyone else who remains here for an extended time. This entire house is haunted. I hear mumbling voices but cannot find the source. The psychic heard them on one of her visits and asked me if I heard them too. I told him that I always hear them, but I was reluctant to admit it to anyone. It was during that time, that visit, that she made the murdered, killed recording. I have the feeling of being touched, and the touch is like an electric chill. I woke up one morning and found marks between my legs that looked like finger marks on the insides of my thigh, as if someone had attempted to force them apart. When I attempted to move my bowels, I felt agonizing pain as if my intestines were attempting to pass through my rectum. I was in that state for about 3 days. When I was about to go to the emergency room, the pain subsided. The lights dim and brighten on occasion, stopping when I put on a Christian TV broadcast. The dimming and brightening follows me from room to room, dispelling the theory that an appliance is draining the current. There are different breakers involved. The DVD player shuts off as if someone pressed the stop button. The fan begins to oscillate on its own. Objects fall off hooks. Sudden strange pungent smells. Somewhat like a really unclean man. Sudden strong cologne, even on the deck in broad daylight. My dog stares at something that his gaze follows around the room. Last night, the refrigerator began moaning in a different, more woosome sound. The dog had been following with his gaze something that he could only see. I have seen this reaction many times before, but last night it eventually terrified him. He went into complete terror and panic mode. I am not sure I will ever be completely rid of all spirits, but the one that arrived with the refrigerator has to go. When it first arrived, used for my landlord, the moaning started up. Because it's placed next to the basement door for a couple weeks, I thought the moaning was coming from the basement. I finally realized it was emanating from the fridge. A month or so after I moved in, I was taking a bath when someone called my name loud and clear. I jumped out of the tub and tried to convince myself that I was mistaken. Then, it repeated my name very clearly. In the first weeks, I heard noises that sounded like someone walking on the creaky board in the kitchen. Then, on 3 occasions, it felt like someone bumped the back of my desk chair very hard. The bump was so extreme, I jumped up to look around expecting to find someone behind me. So many things happened that I eventually called in an investigative psychic. She set up all kinds of equipment, and I went off to work a 12-hour day. Prior to setting up her equipment, on her initial visit, she said she saw spirits. She said they were well-dressed, tall, dark man standing in the doorway from the kitchen to the dining room. She seemed to be describing my recently deceased childhood sweetheart, whom I was very close with since childhood. She stated there was a man in the bathroom whom I am not acquainted with, who was attached to an object in the bathroom. She stated there was an old lady and in the hallway a very unhappy little girl. She did not follow up with a report of her investigative findings, nor did she research the history of this house. I do know that the house is reported to be haunted. The grass cutter said his friend told him, "Man, I gotta get out of there, that house is haunted." This house has been unoccupied for years, creepy in appearance before my landlord bought and renovated it. He changed the facade and interior design for some unknown reason. The floor is raised, which creates a step down into the kitchen. My 5'9" son can almost flatten his hand on the ceiling. A couple who resided here for only a month after the renovation advised me to move out. They would provide no reason other than the floor is uneven. So many strange things have happened in this house, intolerable to me. Is the moaning refrigerator? Say it's the motor if you like, I beg to differ. I record the sounds on 3 occasions on my cell phone. You would not like what you hear if you were to listen to it. No one has. If you're experiencing the paranormal, come and pick up this refrigerator for free. I would not want to pass it on to an unsuspecting person, but some would welcome the adventure. If you are that person, please reply to let me know when you want to pick it up. With the exception of the strange noises, it's in good physical and operating condition. It's a double door with a built-in ice maker and crusher with cold water. Oh yes, this house was also the path of the Underground Railroad, carrying slaves to freedom. Rock Hill Road is a stone's throw from this house, a mere stroll down the road, especially in those days. If it was used to conceal slaves, no telling what else happened here. There's a very strange, dirt-filled crawl space where a room would be. There's a window allowing one to peer into the area. There may be a very logical explanation for the dirt-filled area in the place of a room. Also, no telling what happened here during the abandoned years. After the refrigerator has been removed, A priest is coming in to bless the house. I want that to happen like yesterday. I am adventurous by nature, but this one exceeds even my sky-high limitations.